exciting news out of Cedar Point, because located right next to their Express Hotel is now a very large area of grass that is fenced off. And 99% of the time in the past, when this same exact setup happens in this exact field, we start to see Coaster Track arrive. So it appears, with a shocking twist, could Cedar Point be adding a new roller coaster after all in 2023? Because everything is now pointing to that direction. Welcome to Theme Park Predictions and More. My name is Brandon, and I'm going to share with you all of my thoughts around this breaking news and tell you the most likely coaster options that would become Cedar Point's 16th roller coaster. And a huge shout out goes to Dan, the Coaster Man, for swinging by the Express Hotel to grab these pictures and video of the new staging area for this project. And before I continue, I have to give another shout out to him because he was the winner of our first annual Theme Park Predictions Fantasy Football match. So congratulations, Dan, for always beating me. Now, a big disclaimer, and that is, this could also be the staging area for the metal being used to construct the new Grand Pavilion dining hall that's going to be opening sometime in 2023. So there is a slight chance this might not be a coaster, but I think it is, and here's why. The dining hall seems to only take up the area highlighted here, so the rest of the area, as you can see, while it's not very large, could be home to a new coaster or at least part of a coaster. Also, if you notice, the new fenced-in area is covered, making it pretty difficult for people driving by to see exactly what's inside of the fenced-in area. So I do have a suspicion that if this was just steel for the Grand Pavilion, why try to hide it? So could Cedar Point be working on a new massive roller coaster, something like I shared with you in my bold prediction video that I released last year? And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, don't worry, because I'm going to share a little bit about it later in this video. And now it's time for the best part of a theme park predictions video, and that is the predictions. And the first one is, could this be something to do with Top Door Dragster? The park has not said one word about the future of this coaster, and everything around Dragster at the moment is a mystery. Will it reopen? Will they tear it down? Will they replace the launch with an LSM launch? And by the way, I pulled measurements from Red Force over at Port Aventura, which is around 367 feet tall, and that train makes it over the top hat, but the launch track area is much shorter than Dragster's. So, with a longer launch area, and possibly launching the trains right out of the station, I really do feel like an LSM launch could work, and most importantly, could fit for Dragster. But if the only thing that's going to get replaced on Dragster is the launch, then why do they need all this space to store it? Unless Cedar Point's going to have to replace all the track, at least the track in the launch area for Dragster. So again, I really don't know if this is for Dragster or not, but I don't think it is. And my next prediction, or idea if you will, is a Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster. This type of coaster has been linked to Cedar Point now for quite some time, and after riding Hang Time and Monster at Adventureland, I am all for a Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster making its way to Cedar Point. Not only will this type of roller coaster look great in this area of the park, it's going to provide Cedar Point with a great sit-down looping coaster that's actually really enjoyable, not to mention the awesome lighting package. And in Cedar Point fashion, they could always have this coaster feature the steepest drop in the world for marketing appeal. But my main concern is space. Will Cedar Point be able to add a Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster in this area that you see here? I personally do not think it's possible, though I could see the coaster being expanded to cover the areas that you see highlighted here, possibly. Because I do think there's a chance that Tiki Twirl and Troika could get relocated somewhere else in the park. And if so, that would create a very nice long layout for Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster. And remember, these type of rides do not take up a huge plot of land at all. And Gerstlauer has proven over and over again that they can pack a huge punch in a very small plot of land. Now, the land available is not the only red flag when it comes to a Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster, because lately, Knott's Berry Farm has seen a lot of downtime when it comes to hang time. So hopefully they can figure out the problems, and that has not ruined the relationship between Gerstlauer and Cedar Fair, because I can think of 9 other Cedar Fair parks that would love to have an infinity coaster in their lineup. Staying with Gerstlauer for my next prediction, and that would be a brand new Gerstlauer family spinning coaster. These rides, while not on the larger side, offer a great ride experience for everyone. And it's no secret that the biggest gap in Cedar Point's coaster lineup is a roller coaster that offers a height requirement of around 40 inches. And if Cedar Point would add a coaster like this that offers that height requirement, it would be a huge win for the park and younger thrill seekers. What I like about this type of roller coaster here is the fact that it's not going to take up a huge plot of land to be built. Plus, the price tag for this type of ride would definitely not be as much as, let's say, a Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster or a much larger ride, because we already know that the Grand Pavilion area is definitely not going to be cheap. But what I would want to see would be a new Gerstlauer spinner that would feature a custom layout just for Cedar Point. And next up is the California's Great America Psycho Mouse. Now I know I just did a video about this about a week ago, and it turns out that those permits might not have been 100% accurate. But for the sake of this prediction video, I still have to bring it up because honestly, relocating Psycho Mouse over from Great America to Cedar Point does make a very little sense. But again, I don't really see it very likely. Could this be a brand new wooden coaster right along the shores of Lake Erie that runs in between the Grand Pavilion and Kiddie Kingdom? I, for one, would love something like this to happen, especially with now knowing that Worlds of Fun is planning on adding a new wooden roller coaster for the 2023 season. So could Cedar Fair have purchased multiple wooden coasters from the same manufacturer to get a discounted rate on them? I do think it's a possibility, but I really don't think there's enough room in this area of the park for a brand new full-size wooden coaster. Not to mention, but a new wooden coaster in this area of the park would definitely take away the views of the lake and the brand new Grand Pavilion. And now it's time for my last 2 predictions, and they're both coming from Mock. Could we see a new Mock family spinning coaster be built in this area? We already know that Knott's Berry Farm is home to one, and these rides apparently are awesome because they don't take up a huge plot of land, they're reliable, they're fun for the younger thrill seekers as well as the older thrill seekers, and I would imagine that capacity is a little bit better on something like this over a small Gerstlauer spinning coaster. What I would love to see is the roller coaster to use up this whole entire area here, but weave in and out of existing attractions and buildings. Something like this would be really cool to have a roller coaster with a layout that's a little bit more spread out over a compact layout for a coaster. But again, that's just my opinion. And now it's time for my final prediction. And this goes along with my big prediction that I made last year regarding Cedar Point's largest expansion ever. If you're not familiar with Cedar Point, this area highlighted here is known as Kiddie Kingdom, and it features around 10 to 12 different rides that most of them do the exact same thing. And that also means that the park needs around 10 to 12 different operators for each attraction. And with minimum wage going up drastically and parks struggling to staff every attraction, every food stand, and other areas of the park, could we see Cedar Point make a very smart move and remove Kiddie Kingdom to make way for a brand new footprint for a much larger roller coaster than we're all thinking? This does a few things for the park. Number one, they could add the best kid rides from the Kiddie Kingdom area to the existing kid areas if possible, which would then cut back on staffing needs and operation costs. This also gives the park a very large area to do pretty much whatever they want to do with it. And that could include a brand new Mock Extreme spinning coaster. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I predict that this could very well be Cedar Point's next major coaster. We all know that Cedar Fair loves working with Mock rides, and if you've not ridden Time Traveler down at Silver Dollar City or Ride of Happiness at Palopsaland, then you must go ride them now. Because I'm telling you right now that Time Traveler, when I rode it, was one of the most fun rides I've ever been on. And I would love to see what Cedar Point could do with a ride like this with this massive area here. because I guarantee you that they could be breaking a lot of records with this coaster type. And obviously this coaster would not take this entire area up, which is great news because Cedar Point could then add a few of those Kiddie Kingdom rides to this area, as well as relocate Tiki Twirl to this area of the park. I've always loved this idea, and I made a great video about it that goes way more in depth than I am right now, so be sure to check that out. The link will be in this video's description. Now just think about this for a second. When you pass through the main gate to Cedar Point, and you're walking down the main midway, and you see Dragster in the distance, Raptor to your left, just imagine seeing a huge mock spinner off to the right. I don't know about you, but I would love to see something like this be built in this area of the park, and I think it makes sense in all aspects, operations wise, marketing wise, as well as feasibility for this new ride to be able to fit into the park and give this whole area a brand new makeover. Now we're still a few months away from any type of announcement, but I do think that this coaster could be on a smaller size, and my final prediction would be some type of spinning coaster or even a Wild Mouse coaster being placed here. I wish I was wrong, but I just see this coaster catering to families and younger thrill seekers over the big time thrill seekers. And I'm totally okay with that due to the fact that Cedar Point desperately needs roller coasters in that middle tier. So now that you know my predictions, what are yours? What type of coaster do you think Cedar Point's going to be building in 2023 if they are? Be sure to let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Remember to smile today, think positive, and keep riding coasters.